All right, so you have options for the way you press these seams. You could press them both out, you could press them both in, you could press them both up. So I'm gonna press them both out. That's just the choice I'm making. So I'm gonna pull and iron. I tested my iron already. I'm gonna pull, iron, pull. So this hand's doing a lot of the work, this, okay? Then I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna make sure I've got the biggest square that I can have. I'm gonna iron it sideways and up so it's big, full, no folds. Iron it this way. Double check that when I ironed on the front side, nothing flipped. All right, and I'm ready to choose my backing fabric. From the cart, you know we have a lot of solids. So I'm gonna pick a solid and your teacher is going to use your pillow front. We did this before as a template to cut you a chunk. So I am not cutting anything accurately. I'm just cutting out a chunk of fabric so that you can then go back to your table and pinning this down as flat as you possibly can with no puckers. You're going to use 12 pins, 1 on each corner. So make sure that you use your thumb as a guide to pin behind it so the pin points don't stick out, because you can't cut through the pins. They dull the shears and you won't be successful. So smoothing it out so there's no puckers, 1 pin in each corner and 1 pin on each seam allowance, which is pinning down and securing all of the flaps. I'm not gonna pin using this bent pin, difficult to work with. All right, it is more challenging to pin through the seam allowances. What I'm calling flaps are called seam allowances because there's several layers of flat fabric there. So I'm gonna pin, I believe 12 pins in total. And once I've, and you're gonna take your time to do this smoothly and securely. I've got to decide what I want to be the bottom of the pillow. If I have some kind of a design that the kitty should be facing a certain way, I can know where I want the bottom of my pillow. For this all over design, it doesn't matter. So we remember that if we lay out about 4 fingers, we get around 3 inches of tape. And we really want to just leave it open on 1 square. So I'm going to pick a side that's going to be the bottom of my pillow. And the tape is only on the front fabric. It's not taping it together. Using the pillow front as your guide, you're going to cut really, really accurately. 1 thumb through the circle, several fingers through the wider opening. Take your time to cut it as accurately as possible. I've been cutting a few years as well. I may have better luck cutting faster than you. I am actually relaxing my shoulders, relaxing my arm, relaxing my thumb. That's how I'm getting the shears to work accurately. And by the way, you remember that we cut in shears from the back, okay? We don't go like this. So, once we've got our back fabric cut out, you did this before, so you probably remember you need to sew tape to tape. Do you remember what the tape was put on for, why we put tape on it? All right, we obviously need to leave an opening so you can flip it right side out. All right, by the way, you see all the seams are up. The pretty side is inside. The pretty side right now is not visible. All right, and you remember we leave an opening so that we can stuff. So, you practiced already pivoting at the corner. You knew that your landmark is the bottom of this little ski that's kind of under the foot. So starting aligned on the 3 line and back stitching right to the tape. I'm gonna go forward. I'll get closer to the corner. I'm gonna remove my pin. All right, if I can't get my foot to slow the machine down really slowly, if I'm not good at that, I can turn the hand wheel by hand to do 1 stitch at a time for maybe about 3 stitches. I don't want to sew my whole pillow like this. I don't have a lot of time. Okay, so once my edge of my fabric has lined up with the edge of those sort of rectangular skis. With my needle down and the presser foot up, I turn my work towards myself, I lower the presser foot, and I keep going around. All right, and same thing, I don't want to flip my flaps, so if they start to turn, I'm going to make sure I flip them back, and I'm going to sew the whole way. Probably you're going to sew slower. Now, if you had to stop, let's just say it was time for us to stop, and you needed to take this out of the sewing machine, right, because it was cleanup time, all right? Tomorrow, when you come back to the sewing machine, overlap a little, start back overlapping. I've got a little line right in the center of my presser foot. I can line it up. I can start out going maybe 2 or 3 stitches back. I can just keep sewing. I do not have to sew the entire way around at one time. All right, if I can't slow it down enough, I'll do it by hand. Find my landmark for the needle down, the presser foot up, turn my work towards me, lower the foot. Now, sometimes I sew super slowly over the pins, and I am successful. If I do it too fast, that's when sometimes my needle hits the pin and I break the needle. So if you're really good at regulating the machine slowly, you've got some different options. Needle down, foot up, turn your work towards yourself. All right. You get the idea. Now, there are people who do something that winds up making ugly corners, and this is what they do. They sew straight off, back stitch, stop, they cut it, and then they put it in and they sew this way. It's possible to do, but it's not going to make your corner as beautiful as it would be if you pivoted at the corner. So I don't recommend that. Don't let your flap flip. I'm coming to my tape. I'm going to go about to my tape. I'm going to go back 3 stitches. Needle out, take up, presser foot lifter up, threads cut, and then I'm ready for the last step.